Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's another time with tutorial IO, and today's tutorial happens to be the very few Okay, today's tutorial happens to be the very first tutorial, the discussion kind of tutorial we are having on GST107. This is actually the kind of tutorial we do after we've observed the very first stage, which is the familiarization stage. It is assumed that majority of the members of this class has seen what we have done on YouTube, which is the familiarization part of the course, and we then dive into the discussion part. Where we all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so
but
awesome.
previously will not be hearing.
Okay, let me just check what I said earlier. So I said Miss Agnes is no longer with us. So I said that this is actually the very first tutorial, the kind of discussion tutorial we're having on this course. And it is assumed that everyone in this class might or have seen the very first tutorial we did on YouTube about the course GST107. And I believe you might have gone through the class one way or the other. So it is expected that all students in the class now, which is the discussion part of the course, are expected to make their inputs and contribute to certain terms as an instructor, and the students will be having this conversation about the course. All right, and the recorded version of this class will be made available on the channel. So maybe you want to go back to the channel, or you want to, because this is restricted to the private members only. So maybe you want to share the video with somebody you like or somebody you care to share this video with. The recorded version will be made available on the YouTube channel, and it's expected that students subscribe to the channel, as the channel is actually a new one, and turn on their notification icon to get notifications whenever useful classes and updates are being posted. All right. So with this being said, let's hop straight into it. Mr. Chosen, do you have the keynote of the course?
No, sir.
You don't have as well. Wow, that's serious. Okay, so basically the course is all about it's more of a material, it's more of a guide, it's more of an handbook for all distant learners, and that is why it's a general course in 100 level. Basically, all departments take this course in their fourth year. All right, the good study guide. This is where you get to know a lot of things about your institution, National University of Nigeria, and ODL at large, Open Distance Learning at large. In this course, you get to know all this. You get to know the history. You get to know how it all started. How it started in the world, in Nigeria, and in other countries as well. All this you get to know in the course. All right. So now, let's take it from the beginning, where we have the open distance learning. All right. When we say open distance learning, do you mind Mr. Francis, do you mind explaining to us what it means by open distance learning?
Well, let me just say from a carnal knowledge, using a kind of literary knowledge to say that open distance learning simply means a kind of a form of education that is generally open for accessible, for assessment. It's an open institution that you can access from anywhere you are. The distance is not a barrier.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
I'm not any of the list on the course, so I'm just trying to.
It's okay. It's okay. You tried. You tried. Thank you very much for that, sir. Mr. Chosen, do you have anything to say on that?
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. All right. ODL, right? Open and distance learning. I would say that it's a system of teaching and learning which is characterized by separation of the teacher and learner in time or space via the use of multimedia for the instruction and delivery.
Mr. Chosen, you might need to speak a bit loud because we are struggling to hear you.
Okay. I said that.
Hello?
That is what
Mr.
you asked for, right?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay. I said that it's a system of teaching and learning which is characterized by the separation of the teacher and learner in time or space via the use of multiple media for the purpose of instructions and delivery.
Are you not taking that from the material?
Sir?
Are you
What
not
did you
taking that
say?
from the material?
I can't hear you well.
I believe Chosen is taking this one from the material.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I said, did you take that definition from the material?
Sir?
Did you take that definition from the material?
I studied that before now, but not from the. I have not received the material from you, but I have come across that and I jotted that somewhere.
Now you are far away from your phone again. Please come back to the phone. Okay, thank you for that definition, Mr. Chosen. Just like I used to tell every one of us that whenever you see or whenever you hear words, the combination of words, all right, presented to form something or whatever, you need to first get the concept. All right. When we say open distance learning, these are three words. We have open, we have distance, and we have learning. Three different words. So you need to put into consideration what open, when it comes to education, when it comes to learning, what does open does? What does open has to do? When it comes to distance, what does in learning, what does distance has to do? And you have to put all these things together. I want to talk about the open now, just like Mr. Francis said, it's accessible to all. All right, it's on the net. It's accessible, it's flexible. All right. Distance, in the sense that you can be anywhere in the world, all right, and you are in the class. Just like I believe now, there's nobody here in Abuja apart from me. Mr. Francis is not from Abuja, and I believe Mr. Chosen too is not from Abuja. All right, maybe Mr. Francis can even be in South or Southeast, and Mr. Francis, Mr. Southeast, okay, and Mr. Chosen at Southwest. No, that Western parts, right, Mr. Favor. Mr. Favor, can you hear me? I think maybe his network is having issues. And I'm here in North Central. All right, and here we are in a classroom. We are having a class. Okay, so basically, open distance is characterized by openness, all right, distance, all right, and all this put together in learning. Okay, so now, just like what he said earlier on, now the term open distance learning is made up of two different concepts in education. All right, this term is made up of two different concepts in education. We have the distance education and the open learning. The distance education explains the fact that we all are in different spaces, we all are in different places, and we can still learn at the same pace, all right, at a given time, at a given point in time. We all can still learn irrespective of the distance. And just like Mr. Francis says, distance is never a barrier when it comes to the ODL system, all right. And we have open learning in the sense that it is way accessible, all right. It's all on the internet, right? Learning is all on the, it's not confined, all right, to the four corners of the classroom. It's beyond that, all right. So it's made up of two different words. The term open and distant learning is made up of two different concepts in education, which we have the distant education and we have the open learning, all right. So distant education has been around for quite a long time, right? Distant education has been around for quite a long time. Now, open learning is more of a recent phenomenon, all right? Phenomenon. Yeah. Now, open learning is more of a new phenomenon. That means that is just starting newly. It hasn't been around as much as distance education, all right? So, Mr. Favor, can you hear me now? All right, there's an abbreviation I want to quickly pay attention to. It's called COL. All right, and COL simply means the Commonwealth of Learning. COL, Commonwealth of Learning. All right, and Commonwealth of Learning gave a definition about the open distance learning. He said it's a system of teaching and learning. All right, that's the COL in 2015. Gave a definition of open distance learning. He said it's a system of teaching and learning characterized by separation of teachers and learners. All right. The keyword here is there's a separation. The teachers, that's why in Open University we don't see our teachers, we don't see our instructors. We don't see them unless we have on Zoom class, we don't meet them in person. All right. So that's why it's like that. It says here, according to COL 2015, that the ODL is the system of teaching and learning characterized by separation of teachers and learner. All right, separation of teachers and learners in time or space. All right, and the uses of multiple media to deliver instructions. I mean, this is just what we do here. And sometimes we use YouTube to do our classes. And here we have on Telegram having another class, all right? And I can count several times whereby I also have discussions about the classes with students on WhatsApp, right? Now, using of multiple media, all right? Now, three characteristics. We have separation in time and space. We also have use of diverse media to deliver instruction. And we have separation of, I think that's learner and separation of learner and students, learner and instructor, all right, time and space, and we have choice of multiple media. Are we good to go? Are we all on the same page? Mr. Francis, are you there? Please, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm with you, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chosen, can you hear me now? Now let's continue. Now it also says here that it is a system aimed at creating access to learning. ODL is a system, all right, aimed at creating access, all right, to learning when time or distance or both, all right, separates the source of information and the learners. All right. When there is, now let me explain this better. ODL is a system that is characterized with, all right. ODL is a system that is charged with the responsibility, all right, or charged with the burden of creating access to learning, all right, irrespective of time and distance, and separation between the instructor and the student or the learners. Basically, that's what ODL is all about. Okay. Now let's talk about some stages in this system. All right. We have what we call correspondence stage. All right. Correspondence stage is said to be the earliest appearance of distance education. Okay. Correspondence stage is said to be the first level or the first phase, or is said to be the earliest appearance. This is the stage that introduced what we refer to as distance learning, the correspondence stage. All right. So now, basically, the correspondence stage started about the mid 19th century in Great Britain, France, Germany, and the United States. All right. It started in the mid 19th century in the Great Britain, France, Germany, and the United States. All right. That is the early stage of distance education, where it started from. Okay, now, first officially recognized attempt at distance education was done by no other person, by the person called Pittman. All right, Pittman happens to be the very first officially recognized attempt, all right, at distance education. Pittman is the name. Now, Pittman did correspondence courses, right, in shorthand. All right, he did correspondence courses in shorthand at about 1840. All right, and he's said to be the first officially recognized attempt. He's said to be the first person to make attempt on distance education. All right, distance. Now, Pittman in full, Sir Isaac Pittman. All right, taught shorthand by mail. Do you all understand what it means by mail? Okay, Mr. Francis, do you want to say something about us by mail? What it means by mail?
Mail could be seen or interpreted as a means of communication, either by writing and a means of communication.
Basically, it's a means of communication. Definitely, that is the all ensemble. It's basically for communication. Sometimes you can even send video content, but I think it's more of a means of it. I think it's more of writing, as we have said. All right, transferring letters, written content, all right, from one person to the other, irrespective of distance, time, and space. All right, yeah. It's an electronic message, email, electronic message. So we have that as that. So Sir Isaac Pittman basically had his first attempt, and that was the first recognized, all right, officially recognized attempt on ODL, and he taught shorthand, all right, where he used the medium. One of the characteristics of open distance learning is time, space, distance, and medium, all right, or medium. Now, the medium of his own media in expressing or passing this knowledge is the use of mails, all right. That's the very first stage. That is the correspondence stage, all right. So we have that as that. Now, the second stage of distance education was laid during the World War I. All right, this is the second stage, all right, and it was laid during the World War I through the invention of the radio. All right, through the invention of radio, basically. Just like we spoke about the very first stage that has to do with correspondence stage. The second stage the legacy, all right, the footprint, all right, the roadmap for the distance learning was laid during the World War One. This was when radio was invented. The one thing again we said about one of the characteristics of open distance learning is the medium of media, all right, the chosen form of media to pass this message. So here, radio is used to pass message. Radio is used for educational content, all right. And here, National University Extension. Now, we have the second stage is basically characterized with the invention of radio, and it was during the World War One. So we have that as that. I'm doing a lot of talking. We are not supposed to have this class like that. It's a class that is supposed to be more of discussion, actually less of talking. So I've done enough talking already on YouTube. All right. So and it's because basically, Mr. Francis, you don't have the keynotes yet.
I don't have the keynote, but I'm following with my course book.
Okay, the material, right?
Yeah. And the second stage could be also tagged as the sound and visual and video signal stage too.
Okay.
Yeah, based on the fact that, based on what is on the material, the subheading of it is sound and video signal stage, which you dwelt on currently now, where you have, as a result of World War One, and I believe that one of the reasons why it happened that way was because even the mail at that time could fail, or any other. There's no other way to get people to talk to people if
not through
radio as the current means of reaching out to people as at that time because of the war impact.
Yes. Yes, that's very correct. Thank you very much for that. That was a very good one. So basically, that era happens to be the era of war, where there are a lot of wars going around. It seems like the best means of communication then was through radio, and it was invented, right? And as it was invented, it came in timely, and it also played a significant role in the open distance learning system. So we have that. Now, basically, I'm going to send after this class, please, Mr. Francis, do well to request. You have the keynote now. We'll move at better pace. We all can move at better pace, and we all are on the same page. Moving to the material is not smart. No? So please do well to request for the keynote immediately after this class, so you can send them to you.
Okay.
All right. So now we
Yes.
have. You want to ask a question, sir?
No, I mean, yesterday you sent me that of ENT 101.
Okay, I did yesterday.
Yeah.
All right.
But I would like to have it all, so that is the way I study.
You can't have it all. Because the reason why I'm even giving it out now is because I have a lot of work on and since when you joined the class, me and you would know, I'm not sure we've had any one-on-one class apart from this one.
Apart from this one, the other ones are YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Basically, because of, yes.
I
and
joined
basically because of the stress and the work on ground that only me might not be able to handle. That's why I said, okay, let me not just keep people waiting.
Not just that, I joined lately, it was like as if, the time is running out, then I have to rush in. Because I was contemplating whether to start or not to start, or whether to do or not to do. So before I know what is happening, I run out of time. So it's now so tedious on me, learning at this pace, studying at this pace, everything you are trying to 29 courses and stuff like that. It's not easy. So, but thank God for you and that of the keynotes is helping. The GST103 that I just went through, and it gave the comprehensive details the material. So I think that's why I now said that if I will have the keynotes, it will be better off for me. But I will still go back to the materials because I like learning in details and trying to have my notes by myself too.
That's actually the plan. That's the plan. It was that you joined earlier.
Yeah.
Everybody who joined earlier has their notes because the instruction is you must get a notebook for all your courses. So while we are going to the familiarization stage, you are penning something down. My notes is only an added advantage. For you to have a complete note on a course, that means that course is super familiar. You are super familiar with that course. Yeah. Anything you see in the practice question, anything you see in the keynote, you have an idea because you have once seen them in the class. You once heard of them in the class. There's no way you go into the exam and you say you forget what you have read because it took you time to get familiar. And when you got familiar with this content, it became part of you. That's how it works. But it's just people that are just joining newly that I'm just giving the keynote because I know that there's no time. They can't go through all the classes we've been taking for the past 13 weeks. You want to just join and take everything. It's not possible. So the only way we can fast track everything is through the keynote. But so we are running out of time. I need to rush out to prepare for our mathematics class in the evening. So let's take one or two things before we call this class a wrap. So in our next class tomorrow, by tonight, I will send the keynote to you as you request. After this class, immediately request for it so I can send it to you.
Okay.
So tomorrow, our class will be, it might be short, but it will be loaded because we have a keynote and we are going straight to things. All right. So now let's take this. So let's observe some of these dates. We have National University Extension Association, organized in 1916 as the National University Extension Association. We have the first educational instruction by radio was aired also in 1916. The very first educational instruction, all right, aired by radio was in 1916. I also have the 1925, the use of radio in distance education became global. The globalization. Just in 1916, the use of radio was used to do educational instructions, to communicate educational instructions, and as at 1925, it became global, right? A global medium through which educational instructions is being dashed out. All right, so we have that as that, and we the television experiment, which began in 1874. And this is when television began. Also, people started considering television for the purpose of giving out educational instruction, and this began in 1874. All right. Now we have computer technology represented the third phase. Now, so we can say that the second stage has to do with the use of radio and TV. All right, just like we have the first stage, which is the correspondence stage, which was basically credited to Mr. Isaac Pittman for the shorthand experiment. And we have in the World War, during the World War I, the introduction of radio, and thereafter the television experiment, and the third phase, which we have the computer technology. So this is what we have on the stages. I think on this note, let's call it a wrap for today, and hopefully tomorrow we'll cover a lot of that. All right. So I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Francis. I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Choosing. And unfortunately, Miss Agnes could not finish with the class. Maybe our network gave her issues or something. So thank you very much, everyone. Let's also request for the keynotes, and look forward to seeing us tomorrow. To have a wonderful evening. not tomorrow. We're having MTH 105 tonight. Let's also do up to catch up
What
with the
time?
past. Mr. Francis, I
What
sent the
time?
timetable. Did you not get the timetable, sir, for the week?
I have not. No, sir. I really today. I don't know what happened to my phone. I subscribed my data, but it was coming forth. The first
Oh, maybe
recharge,
the network.
I don't know what they did to my this thing. I transferred through my bank, so I didn't get the subscription I paid for. So the thing just got me, and I was waiting as if to know whether they will reverse it or maybe credit me. But I have to subscribe again, as in buy again from my bank for this one. Now I was able to subscribe my data.
Sorry
So
about that. So the
I
class
will
is
go. I will
7.
go through these things then
It's
to
by
be able
7
to.
this evening. It's by 7 this evening.
Is that right, sir?
Thank you very much, and let's have a wonderful evening. See you in class. Bye.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.